This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. We want to just take a look at a brief tidbit about Chanukah. We know the Yavanim, they entered the Heichal, which is a new expression to us. We find the Yavanim entered this realm called Heichal. Doesn't necessarily refer to it as the Azara. It's referred to as a Heichal. What is the significance of that? What is the significance that the miracle of Chanukah took place through the Kohanim? We don't have other nisim in our tradition that Dafka occurred through the Kohanim. The idea of 8 days is also somewhat unusual. We know the week is 7 days. What's the inyan of Chanukah being 8 days? So, the Maharal tells us something quite amazing. The Maharal in Sefer Ner Mitzvah, the Maharal wrote a magnificent work on Chanukah called Ner Mitzvah. And the Maharal says, Ki ha-Yavanim ha-Yimetamim es ha-Heichal. The Yavanim made the Heichal impure. Shekach koyach Yavan. That is the power of Yavan. Miyuchad lehisgaber ala Heichal yoser mikol ha'umayos. More than any of the other ethnicities and nationalities, Yavan has dominion over Heichal. You know why? Because what's the gematria of Heichal? 65. But what's the gematria of Yavan? Yavan is 66. So Yavan overpowers, rises above the Heichal. The Heichal is 65. Yavan is 66. V'siman l'davar Heichal oila l'mispari samachevi Yavan mispari samachvav. Klahoyes kiyesh l'malchus Yavan koich goyver ala Heichal. That's how they were metame the Heichal. Uvazem metamenes ha-Heichal. Ki mitzad ha-Heichal bavad goyver alav koich Yavan. And that's why when they entered the Heichal, they made all the oil tameh. Because we know shemen is connected to Kedusha. Because whenever we sanctify something, we always anoint it with shemen. So if the Yavanim, which are 66, have power over the Heichal, which is 65, they render impure specifically the item which is most associated with Kedusha, which is shemen. Now, the only thing that remained, and that they couldn't be metame, was one pach. That pach was sealed with the signet of who? Kohen Gadol. Why? Because the Kohen Gadol is not just Heichal Kedusha, he's Kodesh Kadashim. In what way does his ability to transcend regular Kedusha display itself? He could not only go into the Kodesh, he could go Lifnai v'Lifnim. He could go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. So he transcends regular Kedusha. Therefore the Yavanim only have Shlita over Kodesh, Heichal, but not Kodesh Kadoshim.
And Kohen is 75, so it's more than 66.
Therefore, Lo hayicham lishlo Yavan ba'osei pach katan. The Kohen Gadol transcends Heichal, and therefore his signet of Kedusha is able to remain pure in the face of the Yavanim. Okay, now here's the clincher. The word Heichal is 65. But there's a hidden letter in the word Heichal. Well, what hidden letter? The hidden letter is, it's Hey, Yud, Chaf, Lamed, 65. Well, the letter Hey really could be Hey Yud. Why is that? Because there's a Tseirei under the Hey. Tseirei is the Yud sound. It's just, we don't spell it out, but we have a tradition that the Hey is not a Ha, it's a Hey with a Yud. That means there's a hidden Yud. The hidden Yud is what gives the ability to rise above the Yavanim. Because the Yavanim are 66. But really, Heichal is not 65. Really, it's 75. Ki ba'ois ha-hey shel Heichal she'esh ba'atzerei yesh Yud nacha. The Yud is Nelam. It's a Tseirei. That demonstrates there's a hidden capacity. What hidden capacity is there in the Heichal? Not Kodesh, Kodesh HaKadoshim. And that is why the Yavanim could not rule over this pach.
Maybe you could also, Rabbi, if that hidden Yud, then you would spell Heichal, Hey Yud Yud.
Correct.
And you have a Kadosh Baruch Hu inside the Heichal, the Yavanim can't overcome the Yud Yud of a Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Okay. Aval HaKoyen, the Koyen has dominion even over the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Why? Because we know the Kohen Gadol could go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. That is why the gematria of Kohen, like you said, is what? 75. Like what? Like Heichal with the Yud. That means that the Kohen has in him the Kedusha of the hidden Yud. What's the Kedusha of the hidden Yud? Kodesh HaKadoshim. Right? Because 10 always, Asiri is Kodesh. The 10th is always Kodesh. 10 generations to Noach. 10 generations to Avraham. Ha'asiri yeh Kodesh, the Pasuk says. Lefikach haya nishar pach katan munach v'chazam shogagad shlosham yevanim. Okay? And then the Maharal continues. The gematria of Koyin is Ayin Hey, and he could enter the hidden realm of Kodesh HaKadoshim. And that's why the Pach Shemen that was uncontaminated was Munach b'chaysama shel the Koyin Gadol. And the miracle was that it lasted for how many days? 8 days. What's the significance of 8? The number 8 is the number of Kodesh HaKadoshim. Why is that? Because 7 represents Koyach HaTeva, the natural order of creation. The world was created in 7 days. But the 8th day is Lamala Min HaTeva. The 8th day is Kodesh HaKadoshim. Therefore, whatever comes after the Teva is under the letter 8. 8 is, and that is why Mila is on the 8th day. L'kacha Mila shehi al HaTeva sharei lefi HaTeva adam noed orel. Why is Mila considered supernatural? Because an Arel, someone who has a circumcision, that represents Koyach HaTeva. That's how a person's born. A person's born uncircumcised. Mila is Kedusha. Kedusha means to rise above the Teva. That is why Mila is on the 8th day. That is why the Pasuk says, when could Aaron go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim? Bezois. The Ein Zois Ela Mila. That is why the Kohen Gadol, what's Ma'akev entrance in the Kodesh HaKadoshim is the Mila. Mila represents this idea of Kodesh HaKadoshim. So the Yevanim, who are 66, ruled over the Heichal, which is 65, but really Heichal has in it the hidden Kedusha of the Yud, which was brought out by the Kohen, who is also 75, and the Kohen Gadol, especially, that Pach Shemen remained uncontaminated through the hidden Kedusha of the Ois Yud. Of Yud is Olam Haba, Yud is Kedusha. So I mean the Yom Tov of Chanukah is the ability to transcend the forces of Teva and rise above that to Kodesh HaKadoshim. I wish everyone a Freilichen Chanukah.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.